There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. Please be seated. Order. We come to notices of motion. Does any member wish to give notice of a motion? Yes, honorable member right there.
Let me do this and help you to continue. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the African National Congress, I move that in the next sitting of Parliament, the House debates that the white paper on transforming public service was launched in October 1997, aimed at providing public service with a fresh and focused approach to improve service delivery. How much strides has government made in achieving these objectives, and what are the hurdles? I so move.
Another, Reverend Mishwe, Honorable.
Speaker, I give notice on behalf of the African Christian Democratic Party that the House debates the circumstances that led to the paralysis of the Pan-South African Language Board and why their board chose to commit 70% of their budget allocation to employee salaries, leaving only a small amount to carry out its core functions. Thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the economic imperative of creating a visionary and rigorously regulated ICT environment to give certainty and incentive to both local and foreign investors to grow the job-creating knowledge economy.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the United Democratic Movement that at its next sitting, the House debates the need to develop a coherent beneficiation strategy in order to ensure that our resource-based comparative advantage is turned into a national competitive advantage. Thank you.
Yes, honorable member. Yes. No, you, honorable member.
Thank you.
No, not there yet.
Thank you, Speaker. I hereby, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, move that this House, in its next sitting, debate the role and functions of the State Security Agency of South Africa, the independence, also is to supply intelligence and counterintelligence to the threats, various threats that we as South Africans face. I so move. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Gomo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that this House debates the recent study results that showed that teenagers want HIV tests done in the schools and the Education Department's objections to the idea. I thank you.
Yes, honorable member of the DA.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, the House debates the current state of the South African Post Office, specifically in relation to the ongoing industrial action, damage to property, and continual interruptions to this essential service on which so many South Africans depend. Thank you, Madam.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party, I shall move at the next sitting of this House that the House debate the accusations leveled at the public protector of being a CIA spy bent on undermining the government by the Deputy Minister of Defense and whether he should not be relieved of his duties for almost causing an international diplomatic furor. I thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Chair. The Economic Freedom Fighters rises to raise a notice for motion that the House, in its next sitting, debates the practice of labor broking in the light of government's commitment to create sustainable jobs, further debates the practice in relation to workers' rights to organize and unionize. I thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Your Honorable Speaker, I move on behalf of the National Freedom Party at its next sitting, this House deliberates on the failure of the Department of Basic Education to address the challenges faced by the Collingwood Primary School, built with prefabricated materials infested with bird lice, condemned by engineers, a school built 43 years ago, which places all learners at high risk. I so move. Thank you.
I think we should, for the record, clarify that the honorable member probably didn't mean that at the next sitting of the NFP, but at the next sitting of the House. Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A critical tool which focuses the plans of government is the National Development Plan, NDP. It defines a common agenda for all spheres of the South African government. The ANC believes that the NDP, his plan needs to be realized. It is critical that the state capacity...
Honorable member, is that a notice of motion? It sounds like a statement. I think we must make a clear distinction between the two.
No, it is
I think
a
I
motion.
saw a hand this side. Honorable Lamini Dubazana.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the African National Congress, I move that in the next sitting of the Parliament, the House debates the continuous victimization of whistleblowers by their managers and the protection of their identity. Their importance and their relevance in our democratic government is so important, so I move.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the next sitting day of this House, I'll move on behalf of the NFP that the House discusses underspending of the MIG funding by some municipalities and its impact on the life of the citizens of our country. I so move.
Yes, honorable member.
Thanks, Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Democratic Alliance that at its next sitting, this House debates the failure of municipalities to spend their conditional grants for sports and recreation on investing in sports infrastructure.
I see there are no more notices of motion. Okay, honorable member at the back.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I move on behalf of the African National Congress that the House, in its next sitting, debates the immediate and long-term measures to assist municipalities that the AG's report, that the outcomes of the AG report has identified them as being malfunctional. Thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wouldn't make that error again, I can assure you. On behalf of the NFP, I move that at the next sitting of this House deliberates on the prevention of suicide, a day being commemorated worldwide today, and that all relevant departments, the Health Department, Social Development, and Basic Education come together and address the high suicide rate in South Africa. I thank you.
Yes, honorable member at the back.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the African National Congress, I move that in the next sitting of Parliament, the House debates that after apartheid in 1994, South Africa's focus of government was on enhancing the capacity to achieve reconstruction and development. and that the focus was on promoting and understanding that a new democracy has to be developmental and policies need to redress past imbalances of apartheid. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Speaker. EFF rises to raise a notice for motion that the House in its next sitting debates employment condition and wages for patrol attendants, waiters, and waitresses. Thank you.
Are we done with notices of motion? I believe so. We now come to motions without notice. Honorable Singh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I hereby move on behalf of the Inkatha Freedom Party that the House, 1, recognizes that today is International Fetal Alcohol Syndrome Day. 2, further recognizes that alcohol may be toxic to the fetus and can cause a number of health-related issues for both the mother and child, including spontaneous abortion, premature labor, stillbirth, and fetal alcohol syndrome. 3, endorses all efforts at making mothers more aware that the drinking of alcohol during pregnancy may be harmful to their unborn babies, and calls upon the Minister of Health to increase such awareness programs. And finally, urges all pregnant women to refrain from the consumption of alcohol during pregnancy.
Are there any objections to the motion without notice? None. The motion is agreed to. Honorable Chief Whip of the DA.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We hereby move that this House notes that yesterday afternoon, Monday, the 8th of September 2014, rebel group Al-Shabaab bombed African peacekeepers and government vehicles in the Somalian capital of Mogadishu. Also notes that at least 12 civilians, including one South African, lost their lives during the attacks, and several were severely injured. We further acknowledge that acts of terrorism such as these are criminal and indefensible regardless of their motivation, where it happens, or who is responsible. This House extends our sincere condolences to the friends and families of all the victims. I so move.
Any objections? No objections. Agreed to. Any other motions without notice? Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker, I move that the House notes that on Friday, the 5th of September 2014, Bafana launched their 2015 AFCON qualification campaign off to a perfect start with a 3-0 victory over Sudan. Further notes that this was Sheikh Mashaba's first victory in his first game since being hired for the third term as a national coach in July 2014. Acknowledges that the second half replacement Sbusiso Vilakazi scored a stunning brace, while Bongani Ndulula scored the third goal on his debut to guide South Africa to a perfect start of the campaign at Al Marek Stadium in Khartoum. Further acknowledges that this was not an easy trip of South Africa, were greeted by a hostile crowd, soaring temperatures, and less than ideal playing surface marked by bumpy patches and grassland ditches. Congratulates the coach and the team for their victory and wishing them well on their next crucial match against Nigeria on Wednesday in Cape Town.
Are there any objections? No. Any more motions without notice? The honorable member, I think of the NFP, am I right? Or is it IFP? EFF, all right.
Honorable Speaker, the economic freedom fighters rise to move without notice that the House knows with sadness the passing of the pensioner, Johan Mukobe, 84 years old, of Kametse village in Taferkop Sekokune in Limpopo. Further note that Gogo Mukobane ultimate death was caused by lack of water. She fell into a hole dug by the community as a desperate water provision mechanism. Also note that just before the elections, President Jacob Zuma was on television cutting the ribbon for the opening of the 3 billion De Hoek Dam in Sekokune. The people were told
Honorable
that...
Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Chief Whip.
Can I finish?
We really want the Speaker to read that statement during statement time. Because motions without notice do not resemble that statement he's making.
What do they resemble?
Honorable Member, can you wait for statements, time for statements, then you can bring it back. Other motions
Honorable
without
Speaker.
notice? Yes, Honorable Shibambu.
Honorable Speaker, in the last sitting of the House, we had agreed that members must be allowed to read the statement until their conclusion.
No, we are giving the honorable member a time at the right moment when the House is dealing with statements, and we will allow him to make his statement.
But he is moving a motion
For
that the
now,
House
it's
must
not a
move.
motion. That's what the Chief Whip is explaining.
But to say that the
That
House must
is
vote, it's a motion.
Honorable Shibambu. The honorable member will make his statement at the right time. Other motions?
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Malema.
On a point of order. When a member stands to say this is a motion, it can't be subjected to the approval of the Chief Whip of the majority party if that is a motion. He raises a motion, and according to him, it is a motion which the ANC has got all the powers to object. So you can't tell me if this is a motion or it's not a motion. You have got no such authority. And therefore, we must respect each other. Let the Speaker raise his motion. And then if the ANC has got a problem with that, let them object. You can't tell me when I say this is a motion, you say it's a statement. Because what is going to happen, Speaker, is that we are going to stand up when he speaks and say that's not a motion, it's a message, you'll talk later. You cannot allow that, Speaker.
Honorable Malemba, actually this is not a fighting matter. It really isn't. We can say to the House, do they agree that that is a motion? And we can have the House express itself on that matter. It's not a matter that
No,
must,
we don't agree.
that must delay the House
Chair,
right now.
we don't agree with that. We are saying that is a motion. And the ANC can't tell us if that is not a motion. You can object it if you so wish. Can we be allowed to speak to that motion, and then you object it, we proceed? We have done this last week.
Honorable Malema, I would like to let that statement be put to the House at the right time. And I must just be allowed to do that. Can I see whether there's another motion without notice? Honorable Waters.
Honorable Speaker, with due respect to your office and the House,
Point of order.
the honorable
Point
member
of order,
stood up.
Honorable Speaker. Point of order.
Point of order, Chief Whip.
The honorable members on the other side should choose which parliament they want to run. Because the rules of this House dictate that when the presiding officer makes a ruling, if you are challenging that ruling, there is a platform for that. Besides, Honorable Speaker, the honorable member has a understanding that the rules prescribe that a motion without notice is circulated for all parties before you bring it here. It is not allowed for him to do that and force it upon us. It is not allowed.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we want to belong to a parliament of South Africa, not of the ANC. And therefore, we are not going to be run here according to what the Chief Whip of the ANC want. That motion he's talking about was circulated and they objected it. And this argument that it's not a motion, it was not raised. That motion was circulated. Everybody received that motion. So if the chief whip just came in now, he must ask his people.
Clearly, it was not circulated to everybody in terms of the parties, because there wouldn't be this debate if it had been circulated and agreed upon by all parties. I'd like to proceed to Honorable Waters.
Honorable Speaker, I had risen up to address you on this matter to assist your office and the House. If I may be allowed to quickly bring the matter to your attention and probably make a ruling, we shall abide with it. Can I address you?
Address me.
Honorable Speaker, it has been agreed in terms of the precedent that a member shall rise and read his motion without notice. When he has finished reading it, any party who is not in concurrence with it shall so rise and object, and it shall fall off. But to tell us that this is a draft resolution, it's not in the best interest. And we have gone through this humiliation whilst you were on leave, Honorable Speaker. And until on the past precedents, we have come to a practice that a member shall be allowed to read what he thinks is a motion without notice. And when he or she has finished, any party and any member of the House can rise and object it, and it falls off immediately. And I think our counterparts there, the ruling party and the chief whip, are making things difficult for your chair, and we cannot cow to its bullying tactics in this House. I thank you.
Honorable Member, I have heard you. My decision is that I will allow the Honorable Member to read the statement at the time of the statements. I would like now to take Honorable Waters.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I hereby move that this House notes that on the 9th, that the 9th annual Sam Parks Week started yesterday and will continue until Friday, the 12th of September 2014. Further notes that the annual Sam Parks Week gives South African citizens free entry to most of the national parks for the duration of the week. Acknowledges that this initiative is an excellent way of encouraging South Africans to foster a sense of pride in the natural, cultural, and historical heritage of our beautiful national parks. Further notes that the theme for this year's Sam Parks Week is Know Your National Parks. Thanks to Sam Parks and their sponsors for organizing this week, and encourages South Africans to make use of this opportunity to pay a visit to a nearby national park to learn about and enjoy our natural heritage free of charge. I so move.
Any objections? No objections agreed to. Any more motions without notice? Yes, Honorable.
Thanks, Speaker. The Economic Freedom Fighters move to raise a motion without notice that this House notes that the 12th of September marks the 38th year since the brutal murder of Steve Biko. Also note that Steve Biko was the founding father of Black consciousness philosophy, which is an indigenous response to the ideology of white supremacy as practiced by successive settler governments since 1652. Furthermore, that the House note that the impact of colonialism and apartheid on the psyches of both whites and blacks created the reality of psychological superiority complex for whites and an inferiority complex for blacks.
Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Mulder.
This honourable member full well knows that there were objections by different parties to this motion and that he's not therefore supposed to read it in the House. I suggest that the honourable member knows that very well and that we object and other parties objected to the same motion as well. He knows that.
Honourable.
He must sit down.
Honourable Mutamba. No, he's sitting down. Yeah. He's sitting down. If you knew that the motion has been rejected by other parties, why bring it to the House?
Honorable Speaker, this is a motion without notice. We circulate these, but it is not a rule that we must agree. I don't understand why you allow the abuse of a practice that parties, when they object to these motions, we must not continue to read them, and as they should, at the end they can object, and then, of course, we will upgrade them to notices for motions. I don't understand why you allow right-wingers like this one.
No,
to come-
honorable member.
Point of order.
Honorable
Disrupt
member.
us.
Honorable Steenhuisen?
Yeah, Madam Speaker, may I address you?
Yes.
We really are making a farce of these motions without notice in the House. Yes, there are rules that we have as Parliament, but there are also conventions and practice which have been established over a long period which guide this House when we make decisions. We have a practice that these are circulated, preferably before 12 o'clock on the day they are to be read in the House. If parties object, then they are not read in the House. If we object and then parties are still able to just come here and read whatever they like in the House, then we're actually making nonsense out of the whole process. And so I would really ask that, that these were circulated. We had the courtesy of responding to the persons who put forward the motions to express that we were objecting to them for the reasons that we gave. And what really is the point of us doing that if, it's a farcical process and everyone just comes into the House and reads whatever they like? Because that's what it's going to be like then, we're going to bring it on as well next week.
Honorable members, I want to say this. Honorable
Can I
Malema.
address you before you speak so that you also
Yes.
answer me? Honorable Speaker, if there is no rule and the Honorable Chief Whip of the DA refers to some practices which in the last sitting here we agreed that the Speaker can proceed, they will object. If this is going to be the attitude, there is no motion which is going to be read here. Because we are going to oppose everything, including funerals. If that is what he is asking us to do, we'll have a problem here, Chief Whip, I'm telling you now. There won't be any motion that will come here because we'll oppose everything, including your name. So we have to agree that a platform is here where we have to speak, and then let there be objection. Because, Speaker, we are not going to subject ourselves to these congratulatory things and condolences without politics. We want to speak politics here, and not some congratulation on marriage and those things.
Point of order. Point of order, Madam
Honorable
Speaker.
members,
Madam
honorable
Speaker, may I
members,
address
just allow me to say something. Honorable members, I think one of the things we must not forget is the nature of Parliament. Because we agree rules on how to do things, precisely because part of what Parliament is about is that it is us as a people coming here as representatives of the people that we come from who elect us to Parliament. Precisely so that there is also a consensus building attitude about how we do things. If we agree that circulate a motion without notice, if it's not agreeable, leave it. You can still make the statement when there's a time for statements that is opened up in the House. We can't force you not to do that. But a motion without notice, having been circulated, is a way of trying to process things that we bring to the House. So I don't think that we should force matters. Really, honorable members, I am saying there will be a time for you to make a statement. And we can't say you must make a statement you don't want to make. But we're saying, honorable members, when it is a motion without notice, don't force it on the House when other members have already indicated that it does not pass.
On a point of order.
You
Chair.
cannot disrupt me.
Yeah,
Honorable
out of order,
Mritam,
Chair.
Honorable Mritam, you will not do that. Honorable members, allow me to proceed. I'm told that actually this item is going to be in the Chief Whip's forum tomorrow, so that the whole issue of motions without notice should be discussed by the whips of all parties.
Honorable Speaker, there is an honorable member of
I have
DA,
not-
of
I-
DA who is calling Honorable Titama a bloody agent. That gentleman of, that honorable member of DA. So I don't know if he's parliamentary. He calls him, but we cannot allow that. We cannot promote this apartheid tendency.
Who is that honorable member of the DA?
The one that howled too much, this one.
Honorable member.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, you cannot allow a situation in this House where members feel free to get out of their seats and start directing other members of the
No,
opposition.
it's wrong,
It is
honorable
out of
members.
order, and I would ask you to rule on it.
Really,
There can be no
Honorable
intimidation,
Mlitama, you
tactics,
don't do that in the House. Honorable members, it is a reflection on our collective dignity, how we conduct ourselves in the House. And I really don't think that the people who sent us here believed we would come here and do the things that we are doing.
Chair, may I respectfully address you?
About what, Honorable Mlitama?
About this DA hooligan here, who is calling us agents. If you allow racist right-wingers in the DA to insult members
Point
of
of order.
parliament, yeah, it's not going to work, Chair. Let that man withdraw that thing he just said.
Point of order, Madam
Who
Speaker.
is the man who said the honorable member is an agent? Is there anyone who...
Can I rise from the chair and go and point him? Because if I go there without...
No,
your permission-
honorable member.
Yeah, that one.
No, honorable members. Honorable members, our people are watching us. Our people are watching us, and I would really like to insist that we behave like honorable members. I would now like to proceed
Madam Speaker,
with any
Madam
other
Speaker.
motions without notice. Yes, honorable
Just a
member.
point of order, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honourable Inlatama on the microphone, which will now be recorded on Hansard and has been conveyed to the South African public, called a member of the DA a hooligan and accused him of being a racist. The member concerned is an honourable member. Members of the House are honourable members, and that sort of unsubstantiated allegation should not be allowed to be recorded on Hansard. And I would ask you that you ask Honourable Inlatama to withdraw those two words, which I submit to you, Madam Speaker, are unparliamentary.
Unparliamentary. Honorable Mlitama, you can't call another honorable member a racist. You can't call another honorable member a hooligan, and I really would like you to withdraw that. We have not
Chair,
identified,
Chair.
we have not identified
Honorable
any
Speaker.
person
Honorable
who said
Speaker.
any other thing that you said. he
Honorable
said.
Speaker. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think that you must take charge of this sitting. The honorable member there, we don't know names of these honorable members here because some of them we really do not agree with their politics. So the honorable member here, we want to stand up. We want to stand up and point him. You said, the chief whip of DA said we must not stand up. So how are we going to identify this honorable member who said Andile is a bloody agent? He must withdraw. I agree with you, Andile must withdraw. There is no debate about that. But he must withdraw. You can't
Fine.
because of no...
Allow me to proceed.
Yeah.
I've heard you, Honorable Malema, I've heard you. Honorable Mlitama, please withdraw. No, no. I'm asking Honorable Mngxitama to withdraw.
Okay, I withdraw.
All right. The honorable member of the DA has to withdraw.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I withdraw.
Okay. Bendip. Okay, honorable members, we are now on the first motion on the order paper. In the name of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
Speaker,
Honorable Reverend.
our hands were up. Speaker.
Oh, your hand was up.
Yes.
For a motion without notice.
Correct.
Honorable Reverend.
I move without notice that the House notes with concern that there appears to be a marked increase in the number of attacks on paramedics while on duty. Further notes that a crew of paramedics were attacked in the early hours of yesterday morning in Tsakane while they were attending to the suspect who had been wounded in a case of domestic violence. Further notes that the attack, in which an ambulance was severely damaged, took place just 1 week after emergency personnel had been assaulted in Davidton, near Benoni. Condemns the attacks on paramedics who placed their lives at considerable risk in order to carry out their duties. Applauds paramedics for the excellent and invaluable service they provide, especially in dangerous areas of our country where they are not shown much respect or appreciation. Calls on government to do everything they can to ensure that the safety of our paramedics is guaranteed during their line of duty. Thank you.
Are there any objections? None. The motion has been agreed to. We now can, Honorable Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion without notice that the House notes that South Africa's renowned mathematician, Professor Daya Reddy, is a newly elected president of the International Council for Science. Further notes that he is elected by representatives of this council of 120 national members and 31 scientific unions attending the organization's 31st General Assembly in Auckland. Acknowledges that this council is a non-governmental organization with a global membership of national scientific bodies, 121 members representing 141 countries, and International Scientific Union, 31 members. Recalls that Professor Reddy obtained his PhD in civil engineering from the University of Cape Town and a PhD degree from Cambridge University. Further recalls that he is a president of the Academy of Science of South Africa and serves as the co-chair of the Inter-Academy Council, a body which produces reports on scientific, technological, and health issues for governments and global organizations. Believes that the election of Professor Reddy shows that our continent is being recognized for its skills, ability to lead, and the role we are playing in global science, and congratulates this well-deserved election. I so move.
Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. I now recognize the Chief Whip of the Majority Party on the first item on the order paper.
Honourable Speaker, I move that the House notes that on the 22nd of July 2014, the Medical Innovation Bill, in the name of Dr. M.G. Oriani Ambrosini, was revived by the House from the stage at which it was referred to the Portfolio Committee on Health in the 6th section and the 4th Parliament. Further notes that the bill lapsed when Dr. M.G. Ambrosini ceased to be a member of the Assembly. Acknowledges that the requisite introductory procedures as set out in the rules 237 and 241 had been complied with during the initial introduction process, and resolves, therefore, to suspend Assembly Rule 237 and 241 to allow for the introduction of the Medical Innovation Bill by Mr. N. Singh and refer all public submissions previously received to the relevant committee. I so move.
Are there any objections? No objections. We have agreed to the motion. We now come to the second motion on the order paper in the name of the Chief Whip.
Our Speaker, I move that the House notes with great sadness the passing of former member of this Assembly, Mr. Mshieni Elliot Sogoni, in the car accident on the 4th of September 2014. Further notes that Mr. Sogoni was a member of Parliament in the National Council of Provinces from 2004 to 2009, and in the National Assembly from 2009 to 2014. Remembers that before joining National Parliament, he served as a member of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature. Acknowledges that whilst in Parliament, he served in different committees, but that he will mostly be remembered as a vibrant chairperson of the Standing Committee on Appropriations. Recalls that he served the African National Congress in his Gauteng structures from branch level as chairperson of the ANC Fosoras branch before serving the Eguruleni Regional Council. Believes that his death has robbed us of a comrade who had worked tirelessly for the liberation of our people, and conveys his deepest condolences to his family, friends, and colleagues. I so move.
I take it there are no objections to the motion being adopted. Honorable Singh.
Speaker, thank you. Just for the records, Honorable Chief, we permitted to read subsection 6. I think it's important for Hansard that he reads that.
Subsection 6.
I beg your pardon. Further recalls that before joining Parliament, Mr. Sogoni was an avid supporter of the South African Railway and Harbour Workers Union, served as their Gauteng Treasurer and Secretary, and wrote a publication on their victory. I so move.
Honorable members, will members...
Their history for Hansard purposes. History, not victory.
Okay. Will members please rise to observe a moment of silence in memory of the late Mr. Sogoni. Thank you. The presiding officers associate themselves with the motion, and the condolences of the House will be conveyed to the Sogoni family. The next item on the order paper is members' statements. Does any member of the ANC wish to make a statement?
Yes.
Honorable Fabs.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We wish to congratulate the National Economic Development and Labour Council on establishing a stakeholder platform to develop a common approach to work together to achieve inclusive growth. The African National Congress believes working together, this apex institution can constructively and positively resolve a proposed national minimum wage acceptable to business, labour, government, and the community. In this way, we know the trust deficit between these stakeholders can be overcome, and as the Deputy President, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, said, it will bring about inclusive growth. The African National Congress also welcomes a commitment by Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa on Friday to concretize President Zuma's commitment in SONA for a social partners dialogue within the ambit of NEDLAC to address not only the violent strikes, but the wage inequalities. We also welcome COSATU's commitment to engage government on the outstanding differences in the NDP. South Africa's strong track record of overcoming intractable challenges by working together to achieve political transformation. We know in this 5th term of Parliament, we are determined to achieve an inclusive economy. And we appeal to all members of this House to overcome their parochial differences in this battle, a battle against poverty, and unemployment, and support NEDLAC's commitment to overcome the domestic constraints on our economy. Thank you.
The DA.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the Democratic Alliance is appalled by the comments made yesterday by the Deputy Minister of Defense, Honorable Kebi Mapatswe, in respect of the Public Protector, Advocate Thuli Madonsela. The Deputy Minister's accusation that Advocate Madonsela, being a plant of the United States Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, whose only motivation is to undermine the ANC, to undermine Parliament and the Constitution, is baseless and unconstitutional in and itself. See, this is the latest attempt by the ANC to belittle
Point of order, Speaker.
Where's the point of order being
This
called
side.
from? Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Honorable Maimani is making statement reflecting on a sitting member of this House.
Yes, Honorable Member, continue.
And in that, the rules are very clear. If he needs to reflect on a character of a member of this House still sitting, he needs to do that in a substantive motion. So I would urge Honorable Member to stop reading that. If he has a substantive motion, he needs to put it forth. Otherwise, he cannot reflect on a member of this House.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
That is true, Honorable Members. Yes, Honorable.
Madam Speaker, I would submit to you that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is not reflecting on the character of the person. He's passing comments on statements that were made publicly by the Minister yesterday. Now, if the Minister is willing to go on the record, in public, in print, then I think that his comments, which the substance of the Honourable Maimani's intervention here today, is fair game for comment in a member statement. We're not bringing a motion of censure. We're not looking for him to be removed, but we are commenting on public statements that the Minister has made.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, your wording must be very cautiously formulated so that you are not actually reflecting on the character while you comment on the comments that were indeed publicly made, as you were saying.
That's correct. I was just reflecting on what the Deputy Minister had said. So I think these claims that he made are without any foundation. It is, in fact,
Point of order, Speaker.
Honorable Kubai.
Madam Speaker, I want to put it that the Honorable Deputy Minister of Defense is currently contesting what has been publicly said about the statements. So what Honorable Maimani is speaking about is not factual. It's not, that's why I'm saying he's reflecting on a character of a member, because the statements that are said are not...
Order, can't hear now.
The statement that Honorable Maimani is reading, it's a reflection of what was printed on the Star. The Deputy Minister is coming out to say he's been incorrectly quoted. We do not have a correct version to allow
On a point of
Honorable
order,
Maimani
Madam Speaker.
to proceed.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order. On a point of order, Madam Speaker, that is not a point of order. She's defending the Deputy Minister. Let's deal with the issue, please. You know.
Honorable Steenhuisen.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I must reinforce. This is a matter of public discourse. It cannot be that it can be discussed in the newspapers of the land, but not be allowed to be discussed here in this House. It just simply doesn't make sense. And again, there's no reference on the Honourable Deputy Minister's character. The Honourable Maimani is taking issue with the comments that were said. If the Deputy Minister wants to contest it, he should be here in the House where he has an opportunity to respond to the member's statement. Instead, he's not here. I don't know where he is.
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, on the basis that the deputy minister is contesting what's said to have been his statement. On that basis, I would like to be allowed to look at that statement and we will come back to the House.
No. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, we can't all be on
Honorable
our
Speaker.
feet. You can't all be on your feet. Honorable Malema.
I've pleaded with you to please preside over this honorable house by allowing all of us to express ourselves. The honorable leader of the opposition, he's speaking under a member statement, which is supposed to be the most protected thing. And if there is a contestation about whatever he says, ministers will have an opportunity to respond to him. Please stop being partisan, Comrade Baleka. I'm asking you. Treat us all the same.
I'm not your comrade, by the way.
Comrade Baleka, treat all of us as members, honorable members of this house. It can't be that all the time when the ANC stands up, you get so confused easily like that.
Honorable Malema, I would like you to withdraw that.
Withdraw what?
The last statement you made.
No, you are always confused.
You cannot
the ANC.
reflect on the chair in that manner.
I withdraw. But protect the speaker. Under the member statement, they will have an opportunity to respond.
Malema. Honorable Steenhuisen,
Address you, Madam Speaker.
please
Madam
allow
Speaker,
me to proceed.
Yeah, I would like you to proceed, but I would like you to allow the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to complete his statement. You will then get, there's no shortage of members of the Cabinet here who are allowed to respond to it and to put the African National Congress's version to it.
Honorable
And you can then
Steenhuisen,
look at Hansard and come
I've
back.
heard you take your seat. I believe the Deputy Minister is actually here and would be willing to actually deal with the statement. I allow Honorable Maimani to finish that statement.
It is in fact an attempt to undermine Parliament and the Constitution by interfering in the work of the Public Protector and not giving any meaning to the remedial actions taken by Advocate Madonsela in many of her reports. Therefore, the DA would request that the Deputy Minister immediately withdraw these comments and apologize for his irresponsible remarks against the Public Protector. Should he fail to do so, Madam Speaker, the DA will launch then a motion of censure against the Deputy Minister. I thank you.
The EFF.
Speaker, can I just address you for 1 second? You made
On
the-
what grounds?
On a point of
The
order.
DA has just spoken.
Yes, but-
The leader of the DA finished off his statements. I don't allow you to just have a special opportunity.
Speaker, this is not a special opportunity. I'm addressing you on a point of order. I didn't want to interrupt yet again the Speaker.
What is the point of
The point
order?
is this. You've made now a ruling that you would allow this to go ahead on the basis that the Deputy Minister is in the House. We cannot have a situation where the opposition is held hostage as to whether or not the minister is in the House. Statements must either be allowed or not allowed, irrespective of whether the relevant minister is in the House. Otherwise, we're going to have chaos. People won't be allowed to speak if
Honorable
someone is
member,
missing.
can you take your seat? The EFF.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The news about Koko Johanna Mokobane, who's 84 years old, of Gamatsepe village in Tafelkop, Sekhukhune district of Limpopo province, who died after falling into a hole and drowned, is indeed heartbreaking. This incident happened recently on the 30th of August 2014. This is a sad reality of the new South Africa 20 years into democracy. The granny died after falling into a hole dug by the community members to access groundwater. This village, like many other villages across the country, continue to experience severe water shortage 20 years into democracy. The ANC government is failing our people. The current conditions under which our people are subjected to makes it very difficult to differentiate between the apartheid regime and the ANC government. Just before the general elections of this year, President Zuma was seen on our television sets cutting ribbons, opening one of the biggest dams in the country to the tune of 3 billion rand, called the Hoop Dam in Sekhukhune. The people of Sekhukhune were promised that water shortage in that part of the country will be a thing of the past. $1 million question is, where is the water, Mr. President? Bring back the water. The opening of this dam just before the general elections this year was an election campaign and not a service delivery, as the people of South Africa were made to believe.
Your time has expired.
Our people continue to suffer. Bring back the water. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The opening of the 1 billion rand modern state-of-the-art Dr. Harry Soorti Hospital in Uppington on Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2014, is part of the ANC government's revitalization of the public hospital infrastructure rollout program and an indication of the ANC's serious commitment to bring health services closer to the people. The ANC wants to ensure that the building of state-of-the-art hospitals with world-class standard equipment and advanced technology in small towns and rural areas will provide quality services to the public, with the hope that such advancements will also attract more doctors and medical students to come and serve the rural communities. The Dr. Harry Soorti Hospital will dramatically benefit the local residents, as they will no longer have to travel to other provinces to access specialized medical services. And furthermore, it has also created more than 200 direct and indirect jobs to residents of Uppington and surrounding communities. Therefore, the ANC believes that the opening of this hospital moves forward the mission of the National Health Insurance and ensures that South Africans have access to comprehensive quality health services irrespective of their socio-economic status. The ANC hopes to see more of the state-of-the-art hospitals being built in other parts of South Africa. I thank you.
The time is gone. IFP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Order, members. Honorable Crowley, you got lost. Honorable Sengwa, proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. The IFP's South African Democratic Students at DESMO last week won 13 out of 14 seats available on the Students' Representative Council of the Kwakwa campus of the University of the Free State. This was indeed a landslide victory, as the South African Student Congress, SASCO, only received 1 seat. This shows that students at this campus and this university know that SADESMO, unlike SASCO, can meet their needs and point them in the right direction instead of the empty promises that they've been receiving without substance. The IFP would like to thank the student population for trusting SADESMO with their vote, knowing that the organization will push effectively and engage university management on student issues and also drive to ensure that the issues that hinder students from gaining access to higher education are dealt with. SADESMO truly represents the interests of students, and this victory is more proof that students are waking up to the fact that SADESMO is their voice. Nishawe nanaba nati twi.
Freedom Front Plus.
Voorzitter, die Suid-Afrikaanse landbou word steeds in groter onsekerheid gedompel deur die regering se verwarrende uitsprake oor grond. Adjunkt-president Cyril Ramaphosa moedig verlede week kommersiële landbouers in Limpopo aan om opnuut in landbou te belê en as wildboere hulle boerdery uit te brei. Dieselfde tyd forceer die agbare minister Nkwinti sekere voorstelle deur die grondberaad dat 'n spesifieke plafonne op die hoeveelheid grond wat landbouers mag besit geplaas moet word. Die riglyne wat hy stel is prakties onuitvoerbaar en nog moeiliker afdwingbaar. Hierdie voorstelle word gemaak terwyl nog debat en geen duidelikheid is oor die posisie van die agbare minister se voorstel dat landbouers 50% van hulle grond aan plaaswerkers moet afstaan nie. Die saak word verder vertroebel deur City Parish wat berig dat die 50% voorstel die agbare minister Nkwinti se eie voorstel is. En dat die agbare minister nie die goedkeuring van enige van die ANC strukture of regeringsstrukture gehad het om so 'n voorstel te maak nie. Dit terwyl die nasionale ontwikkelingsplan in hoofstuk 6 ander voorstelle vir grondhervorming op distriksvlak voorstel. As na die ANC sekretaris-generaal Nemantashe se uitsprake oor grond teenoor kommersiële landbouers geluister word, klink dit of eerder die nasionale ontwikkelingsplan se voorstelle verkies bo die verskillende Nkwinti-planne. Dan wag ons ook nog vir duidelikheid oor wat presies die nuwe onteieningswet behels wat deur die kabinet goedgekeur is. Meneer, die regering moet besef dat die aankondiging van allerlei ondeurdagte grondplanne, waaroor nie konsensus met al die rolspelers bereik is nie, onherstelbare skade aan die landbou aanrig. Tans neem landbouers ingrypende besluite om byvoorbeeld hulle totale boerdery na ander Afrika-state te neem, of na Australië te verhuis, of beleggings en uitbreidings te staak, of werkersgetalle af te skaal op hierdie soort van onduidelikhede. Dankie.
ANC.
Honorable Speaker, the ANC would like to bring to the attention of the House that the United Nations World Tourism Organization declared the month of September a World Tourism Month. Modern tourism is closely linked to development dynamics and has become a driver for socio-economic progress, especially job creation. The theme for 2014 is tourism and community development. Some government agencies are leading the way in community involvement in their local economic development programs. One such organization is Ismangaliso Westland Park Authority in northern KwaZulu-Natal that has developed a number of community-based tourism projects that involve local community in local economic development initiatives. One of these programs is the Higher Education Access Program, whereby a total of 67 students have been assisted and graduated in a number of fields of education, including ecotourism management and hospitality management. Skills development program in tourism, hospitality and guiding have also enabled local people to take up jobs in local tourism industry. Communities living inside and adjacent to Ismangaliso are the beneficiaries of equity partnerships, income generation, job opportunities, training, capacity building, and mentorship programs offered by the park. Some of these programs are accessed by communities through accessions that Ismangaliso has offered to communities. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. APC. ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The ANC welcomes the donation of the computers that changed learners' lives in Kapogo in Mpumalanga. Once again, the partnership of the African National Congress government and the private sector yielded positive results, as demonstrated by the donation of the 15 computers at Patwa Secondary School in Nelspruit, Mpumalanga, by the Land Bank, which stand to benefit 678 learners. Most of the learners of Patwa Secondary School comes from the impoverished rural background. Having access to technology will assist learners to improve their computer skills and make it easy for them to access information related to their studies. And it will help them research in terms of the institutional higher learning institutions that they want to go further their studies. This partnership reinforces the notion that South Africans work together and doing more. And indeed, more has been done in this regard by giving learners from the disadvantaged background an opportunity and a resource computers to compete with their same level peers in other cities. In moving South Africa forward, the ANC once again appeals to all business people and competent companies and to partner with government in assisting bring resources to historical disadvantaged communities, particularly in the rural areas, to help bridge the gap in the technological divides. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. DA.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Reports indicate that since last week, Saturday, the 30th of August, the South African government has been intricately involved in the Kingdom of Lesotho's political meltdown. Despite the South African government's role in Lesotho, directly and indirectly through the possible deployment of South African National Defence Force troops and deployment of South African Police Service officers, and through South African Development Community diplomatic channels, the official details are still unclear. The time has come for the Department of International Relations and Cooperation to lift the veil of secrecy around the South African involvement in Lesotho. South Africans want answers. The DA therefore calls on DICO Minister Maite Mokwane Mashabane to make a statement in the National Assembly in accordance with Rule 106, subsection 1, in which she must fully disclose the South African government's role in Lesotho. The minister must clarify the following as a matter of agency. What role, if any, is the SANDF playing in Lesotho? What role is the SERPs playing in Lesotho, and under what provision have they been sent there? Is SADC considering military intervention? What mandate have South African diplomatic officials been given in Lesotho? And are the SANDF and SERPs involved in tracking down coup leaders? As the chair of SADC Security on Defense and Politics organ, it is incumbent upon the South African government to lift the veil of secrecy cast over our government's role in Lesotho's
Honourable
precarious
member,
political
we
position
regret your
and
time
give
is
South African
over.
answers. I thank you.
ANC.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The African National Congress celebrates the life of our beloved Tata Madiba, our former president, Nelson Rolihlahla Madil, as we endorse September as National Tourism Month. We welcome the announcements by Minister Hanekom on development of an interactive map that highlights places that are linked to the former president's social and political legacy. This map can be accessed via the internet www.mandelasouthafrica.net and provides the information for all South Africans and tourists to visit Tata Madiba's birthplace, Kunu in Eastern Cape, some of the places where he was arrested, such as Howick in KwaZulu-Natal, as well as Robben Island, where he was incarcerated. One can also visit the house where he lived with his family in Vilakazi Street, Soweto. This house is a moving tribute to the incredible struggle for the freedom. As the ANC, we encourage all South Africans to take time to become a tourist within our own country and visit historical sites and attractions as we look to celebrate and honor our father of the nation under this year's theme for the Tourism Month, Tourism Transforming Lives. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. AIC.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Let me start by saying that as AIC, we are very much perturbed by the manner in which the business of this house is being conducted or run. I think we're a national parliament and we are supposed to behave as such. Really, the people that set us here now will always look at us negatively. I wonder if there's any remedy now that can be sought in order to put an end to this behavior. Honorable Speaker, it has been our great concern as AIC that there's a lack of cooperation between the traditional leader and the ward councillor, because this always results in the lack of services that are supposed to be delivered to our people. We are of the view as AIC that if these municipal wards can be just determined according to traditional leaders' areas of jurisdiction and the ward councillor, then these people now can be made to work together and cooperate. And again now, the role of a ward councillor and the traditional leader be clearly defined.
Siyabonga sikhulu sami sisiphelile isikhathi sakho. ANC.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
The African National Congress congratulates the Progressive Youth Alliance for their overwhelming win in the recent Student Representative Council elections. The Progressive Youth Alliance won 9 seats out of 15 in a highly contested election, defeating rivalry student organizations. This victory over other organizations in the VET's SRC elections is testament to the confidence of students in this capacity of the ANC-aligned student formation as convened by the PYA. Once again, students and young people of VETS have proven that the ANC is the only vehicle that can deliver a better life for all. VETS students rejected in their numbers the pseudo-revolutionary and unruly EFF students by not giving them a single seat. Clearly, students have seen the mumbo-jumbo theatrical politics that have been displayed by the EFF in the parliament. This is a rejection of the unbecoming tendency in parliament that seeks to erode order and decorum of the democratic institutions. The gimmicks of hiding the bling lifestyle under the red overalls are being exposed and defeated by the young
Honourable
people.
Member, your
Thank you.
time has expired. DA.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. The regulation of credit approval is vitally important to maintain a sustainable credit market in South Africa. The majority of citizens require some form of credit, whether it is to buy a car, a house, or even just to make ends meet. The country is plagued by credit lenders who prey on the vulnerable due to circumstances. It would appear on the face of it that the National Credit Regulator is failing to protect the people of South Africa from dodgy lenders, the latest being African Bank. The South African Reserve Bank has had to step in and pump 7 billion rand to keep the bank afloat. The bank will now be the subject of a commission of inquiry, which we believe must include the role of the NCR in the saga. In recent questions answered by Minister Davies regarding the NCR's role in African Bank's collapse, he revealed that the bank was allowed to issue credit to customers, leaving them with 50 rand disposable income, yet little or no action was taken by the NCR. The only intervention the NCR ever made was to negotiate down a fine imposed on African Bank from 300 million rand to 20 million rand. Whose side is the NCR on? The situation came after Abel's loan book became toxic because customers could not pay the interest. Customers were given credit for which they simply could not afford. The question that no one can answer today is, where was the NCR in all of this? It would seem impossible that African Bank could have gone in such direction,
Honourable
lent
Member,
credit,
your
and then
time
became
has
toxic
expired.
when the NCR was totally unaware. Thank you.
ANC.
The ANC welcomes reports from the presidency that South Africa is in discussion with Russia on the repatriation of the remains of outstanding heroes of our struggle buried in Russia back to South Africa. As we mark Heritage Month this year, we are heartened by the fact that the South African government continues to lead efforts to ensure that those who would have paid the highest price for the liberation of South Africa and her people are never forgotten. Comrades such as Moses Kotane, J.B. Max, and Ivor Jones are just a few of these exemplary heroes and heroines whose names continue to reverberate throughout the archives of our history, telling the story of selflessness, dedication, and commitment to the cause of freedom and democracy. We call upon South Africans to celebrate Heritage Month this year by once again recommitting themselves to the ideals of equality, freedom, and a better life for all that so many people in this country and abroad fought for. It is these stories of perseverance and triumph that anchor our decisive and sustained actions to build national democratic society as we move South Africa forward. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Members, we now, those concludes member statements. Are there any ministerial responses? Okay, hold on. Apparently, because the APC didn't take their slot, we go on some order here, so we'll do that. ANC? Done. DA?
Thank you. Honourable Deputy Speaker, in this day and age, it is unacceptable that corporal punishment is still being practiced at schools. CFAPS, an independent school in Mpumalanga, has had its doors closed by the department because it has been plagued by incidents of corporal punishment, which unfortunately led to the death of a pupil. It is outrageous that learners are subjected to such criminal procedures, whilst the school is aware that it is in contravention of the Schools Act and the Constitution of South Africa. How, Honourable Speaker, are we going to create a democracy that is free of violence when those to whom parents have entrusted their children are blatantly ignoring all relevant legislation? The DA will ask the Human Rights Commission to investigate this incident. And here in this House, we will ask the Minister, Angie Motshekga, the Honourable Minister, to intervene to ensure that all guilty persons face the full might of the law. Thank you.
EFF?
Thanks, Chair. The September 12 marks the 37th year since the brutal murder of Steve Biko. Also that this
Honourable
House...
member. Pardon, we've gone one too many. So the number is gone, we've done the required 15.
Chair,
Yes.
you call me...
Honourable Chairperson, Deputy Speaker.
This is...
We have already made the mistake. He was not allowed to read. He was told it's a statement. Now statement time. Say we have made a mistake.
No. Honourable, you are quite familiar with that particular requirement. We have filled it up. It is a mistake. My apologies. It is me who must take the blame.
It's okay, Chair.
Thank you.
Steve Biko lives.
Honourable members, thank you. Any ministerial responses? Honourable Rob Davis, Honourable
thank you, Deputy
Natim Teto, Honourable Naledi Pando. Go ahead, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to try to respond to two questions and maybe say something about, in my capacity as the Acting Minister of DIRCO today. First of all, I want to say that there are two forms of regulators of financial institutions in this country. One is the prudential regulators, and in the case of banks, that is the South African Reserve Bank, who's had responsibility for the stability of the financial sector. The national credit regulator, referred to by the Honourable Macpherson, is a market conduct regulator. I think that it's not the case that the market conduct regulator, the national credit regulator, was weak on African Bank. We gave him a comprehensive list of all the interventions that they had made. I think a reduction of a fine in response to a negotiation around whether or not there should be a settlement or whether there should be a procedure with a court process is a very normal practice in a court or a judicial type process, and I don't think that there was any attempt to be soft on this bank. Let me say also that in the course of this experience, among others, we detected a number of weaknesses in the National Credit Act, which is why it was amended in the last Parliament. Among other things, there are new affordability regulations which will be in place very shortly. There will be a new cap on maximum interest rates. We are deeply concerned about trends in the economy of financial institutions preying on low-income people. We detected this trend as one of the subsets of the expansion of unsecured lending. We're now detecting it in the practices of retail shops, which are actually making most of their money out of the financial lending and not the retail business. So we are committed to strengthening the role of the National Credit Regulator, because actually there is a serious indebtedness problem in this country. One of the successes of the National Credit Regulator was that it went to Marikana after the incident there where there were a dozen micro lenders that were lending to people there. Most of them were non-compliant. A number of them were fined. They went back there recently and they found many less, and many of them were actually not as non-compliant as they used to be.
Honourable.
This is a major problem, and we're committed to solving it. Thanks.
Honourable Nati Mthethwa.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. And to the member who was raising an issue about the repatriation of the late Moses Kotane and J.P. Marx, we want to say that this is in line with the national liberation heritage, and we'll continue to do that because it teaches South Africans about our own history, about our own heritage as a people. And it also goes in line with honoring the heroes and heroines of our struggle. As the Constitution enjoins us, that we should recognize the injustices of the past, but also continue to honor those who suffered for freedom in our land. And I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Minister Naledi Pandor.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, it doesn't require one to have studied and passed rocket science to know that South Africa today is very different from South Africa under apartheid. It needs no amount of study to realize that fact. And thus, we would assert as the African National Congress that this country has advanced substantially from the past that we inherited in 1994. So while we would definitely express great sorrow at the tragic loss of a senior citizen in Limpopo, very tragic, and all of us must mourn and regret such an incident. It is a shock and horror which must not occur, but it cannot be used for political commentary. It's something that we must attend to in order to improve and expand the infrastructure development that we've had in our country. If we are so short of ideas that the sad death of a person is all we can utilize for political armor, then indeed our political trajectory is a sad one. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Surti.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I respond to two of the statements. We reject with contempt the corporal punishment that has been executed. It is criminal, it is unconstitutional, it is illegal, and it's unethical. The following steps should be taken immediately. Criminal charges must be laid against the perpetrator, and the South African Council of Educators must initiate proceedings immediately to deal with this violation of the human rights of a child. With regard to the statement of Mr. Khadebe, we as a ministry and in collaboration with the MECs for Education, we've identified 10 priorities, 3 of which emerge from his statement: the focus on rural development, the importance of ICT in education, as well as collaboration with the private sector. The statement itself is an indication of the fact that in order to enhance access to information and opportunity, particularly for our rural children, it's important to provide ICT. We've created a very, very sophisticated platform for ICT. All our curriculum content, our entire curriculum content has been digitized. Our workbooks are digitized. The foundation phase is already interactive, and we are busy with the architecture of an education cloud to which we hope all our learners would have access to voice-over multimedia free of charge. Already, more than 60% of our citizens have access to a cloud which has been created by Vodacom as well as Telkom, and this, in fact, is a positive step towards utilizing ICT to enhance the curriculum, the quality of the curriculum. Finally, just to mention that all our courses at university in terms of teacher development incorporate ICT as an important part for integrating technology in the application of the curriculum. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable Deputy Minister of Defence. Order, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I reject the allegations about what I said on Sunday in the newspapers. I refer all others to the record. I stand my ground that she was never a member
Honorable
from
member,
controversies.
Hold on, honorable minister. Honorable member, who shouted you're an idiot? I mean, this is out of order.
Speaker, I shouted idiot because the Honourable Deputy Minister of Defence is an idiot for saying what he said.
Honorable Deputy Minister, are you finished?
Point of order,
You're finished?
Speaker.
I'm
Deputy
going to
Speaker.
come back to this. I'm going to rule on this. Can I be allowed to come back to it? Finish your remarks, Honorable Deputy Minister. You done? Okay.
Chairperson,
Yes.
Honourable Deputies. Speaker,
Yes, Honorable.
because of the interjection, the Deputy Minister ended his speech by saying he denies that he said that the Public Protector is a member of Mkonto Wesizwe. That's what he said. Answer can show that. So did I understand the Deputy Minister correctly? Is that what he wants to say to the House?
Honorable member, go ahead. Yes.
Thank you
come
very much, Deputy Speaker. It is actually shocking to have a member of the House stand boldly like what Honorable Menir has done. Simply say to another person who's an adult, not even going close to just even speaking about the member, to say that he's an idiot. He must withdraw and apologize.
Honorable members, we have a choice here of our language gradually deteriorating into hectic insults. You will not be able to cope with that. And I'm
Honorable
suggesting
Deputy
that,
Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Honorable, I haven't recognized you and you're already speaking.
Okay, but you will recognize me immediately when you're speaking there.
Take your seat, honorable member. You know you will be recognized. Take your seat.
Thank you very much.
And don't do this again. I'm warning you not to speak before you are recognized because you know it's not done. Okay. Honorable Menir, the language you choose to use in the House has a direct effect on what will happen in the House next. And I would like to strongly suggest you desist from using that language in the first place. And it's incorrect for you to do that. Because if you do that, if you ask a member to speak to and respond to you in the House and you call him an idiot, you are directly inviting language that will not be okay in the House. Do you recognize that, honorable member?
Honourable Deputy Speaker, could I have your attention, please?
Yes, honorable member.
I thought that the honourable member from the ANC was pointing out that that is unparliamentary language that the honourable Maniac has used, and therefore was requesting you to ensure that it is withdrawn.
Honorable members, I want to come back to you. I will rule on this matter. I will come back to it. Yes. So, hello? Right, yeah. Honorable members, honorable member, go ahead, honorable member. Let me recognize you and then I'll speak on this now.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans is misleading this House. He did say that Tulima Donsela is a spy of the CIA. And he's coming here to come and lie to this parliament, and then we leave it like that. We must not agree to have such things, to be misled every day, and then we're going to go through a long process. He must account of why is he accusing a Chapter 9 institution because of the findings that he has dealt with in terms of the President of the Republic.
Okay.
He must withdraw the lies that is given to this House, please.
Honorable members, both of you, Honorable Menir, I would like you firstly to withdraw your reference to the member as an idiot.
Deputy Speaker, with respect, I'm not going to withdraw my remark because I'm simply saying what most South Africans believe about the Deputy Minister
Honourable
and his
member.
statements in respect of Thuli Madusela.
Honorable member, if you refuse to withdraw, you are requesting me to request you to leave us. If you refuse,
Deputy Speaker, I refuse to withdraw my remark that the Deputy Minister of Defence is an idiot, because he is an idiot.
I have heard you. Honorable member, you are defying the chair. You are defying the chair, honorable member, and I request you to leave the house if you don't. Honorable Shivambo, you are not supposed to say an honorable member lies and is lying.
Deputy Speaker, can I be given guidance to tell the House that the Deputy Minister is lying because he's lying? How do I say it? He's not telling the truth. How do I say it? What is the parliamentary language to say someone is lying? If it's an issue of semantics, please guide me.
Honorable member, you are not supposed to say a member is lying unless you bring a substantive motion.
Chair.
No, you can't speak before I recognize you.
On a point of order.
Yes, you can't speak before I recognize you,
I'm
honorable
not
member.
speaking, I'm calling for order, I'm not speaking.
No, don't throw words into my mouth.
I'm calling a point of order, I'm not speaking. I'm rising on a point of order. I'm not speaking. Can I be recognized, Chair?
No.
No, you can't deny it. What do you mean no? Point of order is part of the rules is allowed in this house.
Yes, if the speaker, or deputy speaker, or chairperson recognizes you.
Can I be recognized on a point of order?
Not now.
When are you going to recognize me?
No. Honorable Malema.
No, Chair. You must not chair the meeting like that.
No, let me explain to you. You see,
No, I'm going to sit down as long as they recognize me. I have no problem of sitting down.
Yes.
Recognize me. Because I want to attend to this deputy minister.
Please sit down, honorable member. With respect, please sit down.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, the deputy minister is lying because he said, and he's not denying it, that Thuli had handlers. And that makes her a spy. And then he comes here and wants to play innocent when he repeatedly called Thuli a spy. We're not going to come here and behave like the deputy minister has not misbehaved. If there is any person who must be asked to withdraw and apologize, it's the deputy minister and not the honorable member of the DA.
On a point of
Please.
order, Chairperson. Chairperson, on a point of order. Or Deputy Speaker.
Yes, what are you raising on, honorable member?
My concern, Deputy Speaker, is that you are allowing essentially.
But Chair, on a point of
Honorable
order,
Malema and
I
Honorable
rise here
Shivambo.
to call a point of order. You don't recognize me. I insist on speaking. And then the next thing, the ANC calls a point of order, you recognize them.
We must indicate, Chair.
We cannot allow this type of things in this house.
We must indicate, Deputy Speaker, that there's no one who has monopoly
Honorable
to
members.
cause chaos in the House.
Yeah.
And we cannot allow a situation wherein the Deputy Speaker, who's presiding over this meeting, is being defied. So
Honourable
we are
member.
not going to allow that.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Deputy
Honourable
Speaker.
members, can I just say this to you? Let me, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, can I just
Can you-
go through this and then I'll give you an opportunity? Before I proceed here, Honourable Malema, we request that we be respected. In other words, that if you want to speak and object, as you have been telling us in the House here, allow us to give you an opportunity to do that. If you rise and immediately you start speaking, you are creating a disorder, okay? So, no, it does not matter who it is. It does not matter who it is. And honorable members, it has always been ruled in this House that making unsubstantiated allegations against the integrity of any member is unparliamentary. Nor may improper or unworthy motives be imputed to any member. This House has, by a resolution adopted on the 16th September 1997, confirmed that a member who wishes to bring any improper conduct on the part of another member to the attention of the House should do so by way of a separate substantive motion, comprising a clearly formulated and properly substantiated charge. Except upon such a substantive motion, members should not be allowed to impute improper motives to the other members or cast personal reflections on their integrity as members or verbally abuse them in any way. Members, therefore, may not make insinuations or accusations of improper conduct on the part of their fellow members except by way of properly substantiated motion. So I appeal to honorable members, I want to restate what was stated then, that honorable members, therefore, not to allege improper conduct by other members, unless they have evidence of such improper conduct which they should bring to the attention of the House by way of a substantive motion. Otherwise, the House will degenerate into mudslinging. And this is what we are trying to avoid. Whatever you believe, whether you are right or not, it is only proper that in the House here, the manner in which we conduct ourselves must at least be exemplary of how we would expect others to be treated elsewhere, not only in the House, but elsewhere as well. Because otherwise, the things that people will resort to, if we do not take that approach, is unacceptable altogether, not least in this House. So we cannot accept it. There's no basis for any excuse, no matter who believes what about anyone in the House. So this is my plea about that one. Honorable members, I suggest we proceed. And Honorable,
point of order.
Yes, we are proceeding. Yes.
Deputy Speaker,
Yes.
the Deputy Minister, the request here is that I made the statement, which I'm not willing to withdraw, to suggest that, as was reported in the media, as his public statement, that that's what the Deputy Minister said. That's common cause. My difficulty here is that when the Deputy Minister was given the opportunity to respond, he in fact did not respond to my statement. So I'm wanting to get a clearer understanding whether he did in fact, and my request is he willing to accept the comments? Does he agree with them? Is he in fact willing to withdraw them? If not, it leaves us with no
Order.
choice. I want to get clarity on that
Order,
matter.
Deputy Chair.
He can't respond on a different issue.
Order, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable member, you
Deputy
mustn't,
Speaker, can I put a point of order?
No, hold on. There's an honorable member who has already requested to speak. I'll give her the opportunity to do that. We'll come back to that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I would want to request, while noting that we've made a ruling on Honorable Menir's conduct, I further request, I didn't do Afrikaans, unfortunately, so I can't pronounce words of Afrikaans. So just to request that, because the words he used and his insistence is not only just an issue of just being unparliamentary, it's an insult to a member of this House. And I would like to request a recourse on behalf of the Deputy Minister, who's a member of the African National Congress. I request that, presiding officer, you follow this up, and we request a recourse on behalf of the Deputy Minister, because he has been insulted. Not only he has been said, words that are unparliamentary, but he has been insulted.
Okay. Honorable members, it has been brought to my attention that the Deputy Minister of Defense would like to respond. Go ahead, Nat.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, on Saturday, the 6th September 2014, in White City, Jabavu, where we are unveiling the tombstone on one of our heroes who fought for this struggle. The journalist who published that article of the Star on Monday was not in that event. He used secondary documents, which we have record of, and anyone, that's what I'm saying, if people want to have the records of what happened and what I said on Saturday, I have got those records. So I stand by my statement that I made on Saturday in that event on White Seat. So what was happening in the newspapers, and if people read correctly, there is nowhere in the newspaper, in the Star, where there's a mention of the public protector of being a central intelligence spy. It's just the headlines, and by a person who was not there. And he has admitted to my SMS now to say, yes, indeed, he was not present in that gathering. So what we are reading here, we are reading something that was not in, the person who was not present in that meeting. So I stand by my statement that I reject the allegations leveled against me. And I stand by my word that Tulima Tonsela, the public protector, was never a member from Controversies.
Okay. Honorable members, there was one slot still left. Where's the Deputy Minister of Human Settlement? Where is he? Oh. Sorry? Okay, yeah, there's the last one slot. Yes, Honorable Member, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. We welcome the statement by Honorable Fabs, indeed suppressing of our own individual headlines in looking for solutions of our country in the interest of its people has always proven to be a winner. We have done it in 1994 when we ushered democracy. We have done it when we formed NEDLEC. We have done it again in 2009 when we're dealing with an economic crisis together with NEDLEC. And we believe that NEDLEC can still assist us to deal with the challenges that we face today. There is a continuous call for social dialogue in the community, in the public. And we are repeating again that NEDLEC was formed in order to be a social dialogue forum to deal with economic matters. And we believe that we shall continue to do so. And indeed, the call for all of us as South Africans to always remember when the country is facing a challenge to form a collective effort. It's a very important one. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, earlier on here, I restated a ruling that was made in the past. And I would like to repeat it this way. Both Honorable Shivambwe and Honorable Malema repeated this statement about the Honorable Deputy Minister lying. And the rules say that you can't say another member is lying. And I would like both of you to withdraw those statements.
What was the instruction, Deputy Speaker? I did not hear.
That you
please repeat?
That you withdraw your reference to the Deputy Minister having lied.
Or I withdraw the word lying.
Yes.
Or the word lying I withdraw, but he's not telling the truth.
Honorable member, it can't be a conditional withdrawal. And
Okay.
it's an important thing,
So
please. We are
even when
not
I
children.
withdraw the word, it must be known that he's not telling the truth. I withdraw the word.
No, honorable member.
Okay, I withdraw.
Yeah, okay. Honorable Malema.
Chair, I withdraw.
Thank you.
Chairperson, can I ask a question? Can I address you on one matter, Honorable Deputy
What
Speaker?
matter now, honorable member?
How do you say a member is not telling the truth? Next time, so that we should know.
Honorable
How
member.
do we say it if he's not telling the truth?
Honorable
Can
member,
you help us? there,
honorable member, you were in the house when I read the statement, and I would warn you that you mustn't do that again because you know what the rule says. I stated here explicitly, you must do so with a substantive motion so that we don't have people making allegations that may prove to be incorrect. Yes. Honorable
Deputy
members?
Speaker, on a point of order, we waste so much time in these afternoons explaining everything to the EFF. Could we arrange a training seminar for them so you can explain the rules to them?
Deputy Speaker.
Honorable member, you yourself will be a worthy member of such workshopping because you're disrupting the House. Honorable members, that concludes ministerial responses. We will now move to the subject for discussion. And this is the last item on the order paper, is a subject for discussion in the name of Mr. Tlangwa on the significance of national days in pursuit of nation building and social cohesion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. 20 years into our freedom and democracy, we ought to take a moment and reflect objectively on the progress we have made as a country. We have achieved a lot, and a lot that should not have been done has been done. From our glorious heydays of unity and diversity, in 1994, we have descended into an unprecedented collapse of national unity. In 1994, we ventured into foreign waters, which called on all of us to put our shoulders to the wheel and make a meaningful contribution towards the building of a new and progressing South Africa. We charted a new vision for a new South Africa, and in 1996, we strengthened our collective resolve to this end when we adopted a unifying constitution. When we tired along the way, we took refuge under our constitution. In fact, our constitution has been the wind under our wings as we strive each day to achieve meaningful nation building and social cohesion, because we understand that the divisions and social cleavages of the past will best be rectified through unity and common purpose. National days are an integral part of this relentless pursuit of nation building and social cohesion, because they remind us of our past and motivate us into the future. National days are the glue which keeps all of us together, because in one way or another, they all hold personal significance for all South Africans. Every South African...
Order, honourable member. Those honourable members who are leaving the chamber, will you do so quietly so that we can give the speaker at the podium a fair hearing? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Every South African has a Freedom Day story to tell for April 27. Every South African has a Workers' Day story. Every South African has a June 16 experience to share. Every South African has a Mandela Day experience on July 18. Every South African is alive to the realities of August 9. Every South African has a heritage to embrace on September 24. Every South African has a responsibility to reflect on national reconciliation on December 16. This is our daily life as a country. This is the South African experience, the South African story. It is our past, it is our future. It is a legacy that belongs to all South Africans, which is the very basis of our pursuit of nation building and social cohesion. Whilst we may differ on many fronts and subscribe to divergent persuasions, national days unite us. How then, though, Honourable Chairperson, do we reconcile this ideal with the sad reality of national days, celebrations and commemorations being monopolized to the detriment of nation building and social cohesion? It has become the standard practice for National Day celebrations to become ANC functions, in carrying abuse of state and government resources. ANC songs reverberate throughout these functions, and ANC supporters heckle and boo opposition parties. This country is doomed if we embrace the conflation of government, state, and party. Government and state functions and events are exactly that. They are not ANC functions. The ANC is not the government, nor is it the state. It simply happens at this point in time to be the party in government. This difference must be asserted, or South Africa will end up being neither fish nor fowl. Prince Bangosu Buthelezi from this podium made the notable observation which best diagnoses the problem of national disunity and the reversal of our gains when he said, 20 years ago, words like Rainbow Nation, miracle transition, freedom and reconciliation filled the public discourse. But under this leadership, those words have become marikana, scandal, protest, and corruption. Also from this very podium, President Jacob Zuma inadvertently highlighted the problem when he said, to quote, sorry, we have more rights here because you are the majority. You have fewer rights because you are in a minority. Absolutely, that's how democracy works. So it is a question of accepting the rules within democracy and you must operate within them, close quote. This fundamental misinterpretation of democracy has found expression in endless government functions where blatant abuse of taxpayer money fulfills the ANC's need for self-promotion and political hegemony. When rights are dispensed through an us and them mentality, equality and unity are negated, while nation building and social cohesion are utterly destroyed. Thus, the very events which are meant to unite us actually divide us. They have become an exclusive domain for the ruling party. The narratives, facts, and scripts of history are rewritten before our very eyes to suit the propaganda of the ruling party in government as our sole liberator, negating the role of other parties, churches, traditional leaders, NGOs, and friends of human rights and democracy the world over. We have made a mockery of our history, and this mockery plays itself out every time a national day is commemorated. Therefore, these national days manufacture little more than tenderpreneurs, lining the pockets of friends and cronies at the expense of the poor, vulnerable, and suffering. They are filled with fanfare and food parcels, but when they are over, our people go back to poverty, pain, suffering, with no meaningful change to their lives. Only two things have happened. Tenderpreneurs have made money, and the ruling party has enjoyed free propaganda exercise. We must rise above the petty political divides and propaganda which characterize these national celebrations. Not everything is about the ruling party and alienating everybody
Honourable
else
Member, your
and
time is
dividing
expired.
this nation.
The next speaker is the Honourable Tom.
Ndiyabulela sihlalo ngelithuba ulinike ANC into yoba iphefumle kulo mba. Kwiingxoxo zakhe ukhongolose xa bekuqulunqwa indlela eya enkululekweni uye waphuma nomqulu othi sikulungele ukulawula, ready to govern. Kulo mqulu kuye kwacaciswa ngokungathandabuzisiyo ukuba ubungqondo gqwirha borhulumente localulo eyayina nto wawuntshатshela ngayo kukuncothula nengcambu inkcubeko yethu, ukuncothula nengcambu iilwimi zethu nembali yethu nobuthina. Eyona nto yayilumeza ngelo xesha nesalumezayo nangoku kukuba imbewu yona yocalucalulo eyafakwayo ngelo xesha isahluma nangoku. Siyayibona loo nto, ayiyonto sifuna ukuyixelelwa leyo. Ibalulekile sihlalo into kuba siyijonge ngeliso elibukhali le ngcambu ikhulayo iza kwenza singakwazi ukudibana kuba icaciswa mhlophe eyokuba masimanyane ukubheka phambili. Ingxaki nesimanga yinto yokuba umcinezelwa wolula isandla, umcinezeli ubaleka nesandla sakhe. Honorable Chair, it is important that we all understand where we come from. Apartheid did not only separate South Africans in color, it made black people to be non-citizens of this country. dehumanizing them. And if you dehumanize a human being, you kill that person's soul. This is why the African National Congress made it a point that it does not only redeem, but restore the soul that has been killed by the apartheid system. And instead of perceiving diversity as a threat, the African National Congress is making sure that we make diversity a strength so that we can begin to talk to each other, so that we can begin to come closer to each other. Honorable Chair, South Africa has a very painful past. And the ANC, as I said, is not of the view that this history must be obliterated. Rather, it believes that this history must be used to teach future generations about things that they should avoid in the future. Things that have happened to us must not happen again. Because as the people who were at the receiving end of that cruel system, we will not forget this. But we don't want our generations, future generation to take heed from what we did. It is indeed true that South Africans remember Sharpeville, June 16, and many other massacres with pain. However, Chair, through these days, this government teaches tolerance, values of Ubuntu, and for us to treat other people with dignity and respect. And for you to treat other people with dignity and respect, you have to respect yourself first. These days are used as a measure of how the South African society has progressed since 1994. Honorable Chair, the ANC believes strongly in robust debate and the culture of engagement. Even though it was the ANC that came up with a blueprint of reconciling all South Africans through national days, it engaged other parties. It never just took the decision, but engaged other political formations and all citizens. And current national days came out as a compact between the state and its citizens. It is the duty of every citizen to ensure that we give meaning to our democracy. Let us take this opportunity that is being provided through these days to reflect not only on the past, but also to reflect on the future, so that we build this magnificent future for the future generations. As the ANC government's National Development Plan has correctly identified, the South Africans are still divided. The ANC government believes that the national days play a major role in fostering collective values of us South Africans. And the ANC, as the ANC, we believe that it can be done. This can be done. And as the Chinese proverb says, I quote, "The person who says it cannot be done must not interrupt the person who's doing it." As our former president, Nelson Mandela, stated, during one of the debates in this house, he said, I quote, "Let us harness the nation's energies to move rapidly and develop and construct our country. In this way, our society will experience meaningful and lasting reconciliation." Honorable Chair, national days entrench reconciliation. They build our society and foster social cohesion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Grootboom.
Honourable Speaker, Honourable Ministers, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, honourable members. When we talk about the significance of national days in the pursuit of nation building and social cohesion, we are talking about heritage. And heritage is about tying the past and the present together to take us into a collective future as a nation. But what does it mean to us as a young democracy that has moved to young adulthood? Have we reached that stage where we freely exchange ideas and feelings about our past? Looking back at our past, I want to agree with Sam Shepard when he stated that, and I quote, "There is no way to escape the fact that we've grown up in a violent culture. We have just can't get away from it. It is part of our heritage." And I think part of it is that we've always felt somewhat helpless in the face of this vast continent. Helplessness is answered in many ways, but one of them is violence, unquote. It is from that perception of our past that we have to rid ourselves from. We have to create a non-violent society and move away from that divisive past as advocated by our past President Nelson Mandela when he said, "It's a time for the healing of the wounds is upon us." Secondly, Honourable Speaker, apartheid divided us racially. However, the heritage that we celebrate can never be an extension of our violent past nor our racist past. National days must be used as a time where we conscientiously deconstruct the ideas, the stereotypes, feelings of distrust and aversion that we have against one another. Honourable Speaker, we are a new country. We are a new nation. And we must acknowledge our shared heritage, but we must continue to create a new heritage from this past littered with racism, violence, exploitation, intolerance, and move to a dynamic and vibrant future. The DA believe that our present is and certainly our future does not belong to one racial or cultural group alone, and it certainly does not belong to one political party. It is government duty to this nation to bring South Africans together, especially about our shared heritage. But mostly recognizing ANC-aligned struggle heroes, the government is insidiously cultivating a divisive spirit that should not be what punctuates our shared national identity. When we can move away from this divisive spirit, our nation will indeed take another step closer towards unity. It is thus incumbent upon us, Honourable Speaker, especially as politicians from across the political spectrum, to build rather to lambast our Chapter 9 institution, which of course include the Public Protector, because these are part of the very institutions that were formed in the wake at the birth of our democracy, and to attack them is an indictment of the very function to protect democracy and to root out corruption and tyranny wherever it may be. When we celebrate Youth Day as a national day, we should be reminded that young people all over the country, black and white, were part of the struggle of a free South Africa, and let us not forget the Cape Flats uprising of 1980, where those of us who were old enough to remember witnessed unspeakable unrest which cannot belong to any one party or any one people. When our ancestors had big social events, they had music that facilitated a sense of social cohesion and personal agency, and in a sometimes chaotic and conflicted social circumstances. Our present national days should therefore also seek to build on those expressions. Honourable Speaker, the DA notes that South Africans as a nation have accepted that our destinies are tied together. The celebration of national days is there to drive the process of cultural inclusivity and strengthen the movement to inclusive heritage. Arts and culture with specific reference to heritage should therefore not be reduced to a project or program of government to look at those who are not ANC affiliates, but a move of bringing people together by fostering a better understanding of one another and of growing together to forge a new cultural identity born from our different cultural identities. Honourable Speaker, yes, indeed, the DA says with all South Africa that our heritage belongs to all South Africans. The Department of Arts and Culture has that enviable position to cultivate nationhood and to set the tone on how we move to achieve that unity as a nation. The understanding there should therefore remain our national days are non-racial and should therefore not be used as political rallying days. When we do that as politicians, we are dividing people into corners of diversity, our past, and herald a new dawn of a new nation. Let us create that hope, that future, and that heritage. It is our duty as politicians of this august house. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Matiase.
Honourable Chair, we've been called upon to reflect on the significance of national days, on its contribution on social cohesion and nation building. The question that we ask is, through whose reflection, for whose interest are we called upon to make such reflections? Honourable Chair, the EFF believes that a nation that forgets its past is a doomed nation. A nation that forgets its heroes is a dying nation. A nation that praises its oppressors is a nation that is on a one-way ticket for sublime to ridiculous. Historically, December 16 was observed as an apartheid public holiday to celebrate the defeat of Dingaan and all heroes of the African people in the quest by colonizers to dispossess Africans their land. And on this day, we have grew up as black people, assaulted and chased everywhere else, in countrysides, in farms, in street pavements, by people that were expected to reconcile and to observe the day of reconciliation and the importance of public holidays. It's important to underscore that in 1961, when Umkhonto weSizwe was formed, on the 16th of December, the day which coincides with the celebration of Dingaan's Day, the meaning of the day when Umkhonto weSizwe was formed brought relief to the oppressed African people in that they had a different cause to celebrate on the 16th of December. The celebration which underlined the commencement of the armed struggle to reclaim the stolen land. But, Honorable Chair, today, this day is called the Day of Reconciliation. How reconciliatory is this day when from amongst the ranks of Umkhonto weSizwe, former, there are those who talk war, who uses violent talk, who threatens to kill with bullets against defenseless political opponents. Honorable Charles Ngakula and Honorable KP Maphatso are on record in making such violent threats. Honorable Ngakula, in the committee which is established to look into matters concerning the economic freedom fighters, made serious threats against the chief whip of economic freedom fighters, Honorable Shivambu, with the might of his military MKE skills and the skills to visit harm upon those they have aimed at. He put it in verbatim in the committee that Honorable Shivambu shall be visited upon by violence, through violence means. And this is a former guerrilla of Umkhonto weSizwe. Where is impartiality from a judge who from the onset positioned himself as partisan? Honorable Maphatso, who is now today chickening out. a Deputy Minister of Defense who has access to himself military intelligence, files and armory of the country to which he can make public statements as reckless and irresponsible as he made. About the person of the public protector. He is, in fact, he's quoted in saying, in our country today, there is a revolutionary situation, and thus calls upon former MK guerrillas to ready themselves to take up arms as the situation currently warrants the taking up of arms, and because the situation is reminiscent of the 1961 call that brought about the formation of Umkhonto we Sizwe.
Honourable Member, your time has now expired.
All what we can say,
Honourable Member,
all what
your
we can
time
say
has
to
expired.
these gentlemen, that they are
Honourable
peacetime
Member,
freedom fighters,
your time has expired.
and that which they are inviting upon us, they must be ready to meet with it on the grounds in the street. Thank you.
Honourable Member, before I recognize the next speaker, Honourable Member, will you just take your seat, please? Honourable Member of the EFF, you may return to your bench. I'm not calling you back to the podium. There's an announcement I wish to make. Honourable Members, I wish to recognize in the gallery the DRC Minister of Hydraulic Resources and Energy, the Honourable Kapanji Kalala, who have just signed the DRC RSA Energy Agreement that also covers the Grand Ingo project. You are welcome, sir. The Honourable Van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chairperson. I wish to thank my party for placing this motion on the order paper, for it is indeed a matter that goes to the very heart of our democracy. It is with a sense of awe that one considers the many successes of our diverse nation over the past 20 years. Our national days, such as Freedom Day, should therefore be celebrated by all South Africans in the pursuit of nation building and social cohesion. They should evoke the spirit of Ubuntu and tolerance, which characterizes our progressive constitution. Yet, instead of evoking tolerance, these days are increasingly being used by the ruling party for their own purposes. This is wrong and it must change. There are many examples one can cite, but I vividly remember how the closing ceremony of the 16 Days of Activism campaign held in the Northwest in December 2012 turned into a pre-Mangaung rally. Not only did it exclude the voices of opposition parties, but the function descended into chaos as former Deputy President Motlanthe and President Zuma's supporters became very vocal in punting for their leadership of the ANC. Even correctional services officials joined in the pre-Mangaung fanfare. Then earlier this year, I was fortunate enough to attend the Human Rights Day celebrations in Gauteng. Arriving there, one could have been forgiven for thinking that I'd mistakenly arrived at an ANC rally. Throughout the day, scores of buses of ANC supporters were bussed in, and opposition party speakers were booed. Honourable Chairperson, is this what we call nation building or exhibiting tolerance? These were government functions paid for by the taxpayer. Politicking should not have been allowed under any circumstances. We reported the Northwest matter to the Public Protector, who has since received many similar complaints. And let me just also take this opportunity on behalf of the IFP to condemn in the strongest possible terms the alleged comments made by the Deputy Minister of Defence that our Public Protector is a CIA spy. This is grossly unacceptable. Honourable Chairperson, so this begs the question, do national days only belong to one party? And would the ANC not also cry foul if they were subjected to the same actions as us opposition parties are? These actions point only to one thing, the abuse of taxpayer money, and we must act now to safeguard our democracy. Increasingly, the line between the state and the ANC is eroding, and by default, this is also eroding the fundamental values of our hard-won democracy. Honourable Speaker, in 1953, Alan Paton, speaking on liberalism and tolerance, said, and I will paraphrase, and I quote, "I don't mean the creed of any party or any century. I mean a generosity of spirit, a tolerance for others, an attempt to comprehend otherness, a commitment to the rule of law, and a love for freedom, unquote. This sums up some of the values our national days should espouse. If not, our fledgling democracy will continue to falter along the path to social cohesion and nation building. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Mabika.
Honourable Deputy Speaker and honourable members of the House. On a question of how do national days contribute to nation building and social cohesion, firstly, we need to understand that of our national days we need to understand that some of our national days are inherited whilst others were created and at the advent of our democracy. Secondly, we understand that one of the primary functions of national days are to unite people by creating visual, verbal, or iconic representations of our values, goals, and history. When reflecting on our national days, we note that of the 12 South African public holidays, one is neutral and universal, which is the New Year's Day. And whilst Good Friday and Christmas are Christian-based. These religious-based public holidays have sparked debate in South Africa and are viewed by some as being contrary to nation building, as no provision is made for the recognition of other religious and days of significance for other religious communities, such as Shembe and others. The remaining 7 of our public holidays relate to our shared history as South Africans. We therefore submit that it is these which are most relevant to nation building and promoting social cohesion. In South Africa, the Department of Arts and Culture is the custodian of national days and has the duty to promote our national days in such a way that these days contribute meaningfully to national building and enhance social cohesion. The NFP submits that we need to consider the role of civic instruments such as our constitution and various charters when discussing the concept of nation building. Such instruments admittedly do not have the symbolic gravitas of national days. But we as the NFP believe that they are more likely to find resonance across all sectors of our diverse society than many of our current national days. The NFP further also believes that the Department of Arts and Culture needs to do more to enlighten South Africans about the significance of these days in a way that are accessible to the majority of South Africans, young and old. This Honourable Deputy Speaker and honourable members should be ongoing process in accordance with a well-developed plan of long-term systematic action. In addition, the NFP believes that current number of national days sufficiently speaks to the need of South Africans for days in which we celebrate our shared history.
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is the Honourable Kwankwa.
Thank you very much, House Chair and honourable members. This debate is important because it comes at a time when national days and holidays that come with them seem to be losing significance. An increasing number of people view national holidays as nothing other than an interlude away from work. Isizathu sithini masiyithethe. Sithethe ngemizekelo singabe siyikhumsha lento. Masenze umzekelo uthi kwi-Human Rights Day last year yayisePaarl. Umfana we-Pan Africanist Congress used the platform to attack government. And then uPresident Zuma wathi xa ethetha wathi ayiyo platform yaloo nto le. Yokwakha i-unity ne-social cohesion. Fast forward to 2014 kwi-Freedom Day celebrations. Ngosigqiba 20 years of democracy. Bekukho mayor phayana, I think yaseGauteng. Is supposed to do a vote of thanks, Madiba. Instead of doing a vote of thanks, why turn her into a campaign speech for the ANC? And now the same President Zuma Teta did not condemn that. Now, it challenged Intoba when a mistake was made by opposition parties last year. We expected to go to nathi join a city in national days ezisebenzisela ukwakha isintu, uluntu nesizwe. Mayingatshintshi ke ngoku because xa isenziwa i-ANC excuse. The city xa isenziwa zezinye parties sikhala. The other issue which is very important, remember sine-limited resources, siyazikhwelela, siyazithini, siyazilalela uya kwezi ndawo. Sesifike phana ningasiniki ithuba lothetha, sifike sikhedame sithi cwaka. Sibukele urhulumente we-ANC ethethe yedwa, regurgitate imanifesto sithi cwaka ngabikho nto yenzekayo. Nathi kaloku sine-constituencies, sinyulwe ngabantu ziinkokheli. They want to hear us ukuthi kaloku ayo election yimini yoluntu lela uMzantsi Africa, not the ANC. So you can't talk about the ANC or the elections. Now, ndithi ke ngokwimini ezinjalo abantu bakuthi bafuna usiva nathi ukuthi how do we encourage them? What kind of messages abanika bona ukuthi ezimini sizisebenzisa njani in building iSouth Africa United yomntu wonke. Ndizama ukuthi sanulumane ivuthela Honorable Bhuti Manamela. Inyanso mayibe khona xa isihlako sitya wena eKonsini. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Mulder.
Honourable Chairperson, the Honourable Schlengwa who brought this motion to the House today.
Order, Honourable Members. Continue, Honourable Member.
The Honourable Schlengwa who brought this motion to the House today is absolutely correct in what he basically said. And I think we should listen to what he basically said. He explained and he gave a clear indication of how National Day celebrations are perceived by many South Africans. If he's wrong, then we must talk about that. But you won't bring that to the House if that is not the perception. And that perception is absolutely correct because the Honourable Tom, in her speech, said that the oppressed extends an olive leaf to the oppressor, but the oppressor must come on board. Now, the IFP is clearly not the oppressor. The IFP and other minorities are experiencing national days in this way, and we must take cognizance of that. This debate is about basically nation building and social cohesion, and we've had many debates on this topic. We've had a conference at Kliptown about 2 years ago, which was quite important, and I'm very happy that the Honourable Minister of Arts and Culture is present. Because we have not succeeded in South Africa to solve this whole question of nation building and social cohesion. And the question is why? Quite often it's being said by the ruling party that we've succeeded in doing this and doing that, etc., but we failed in one very important respect. And I'm afraid I say the ruling party and the ANC has failed in this respect because they did not succeed in unleashing the positive power and energy of all the people in this country. The emphasis and the focus is always on the ruling party's view of what's happening in South Africa, the ruling party's view of history, the ruling party's view of where we should go. Other people have also good ideas. They also have certain ideas that should be taken on board if we are serious about nation building. Maybe the ruling party should understand that if you walk outside, 4 out of every 10 people you see basically do not support the ruling party. 4 out of every 10. And they come from a range of different communities in South Africa. The recipe for nation building has been wrong. And what was that recipe up till now? We are stumbling from one sporting event to the next. That's the recipe for nation building. It started off with the World Rugby Cup in 1995, then the Cricket Cup in 2001, then the bid for the Olympics in Cape Town, then the Soccer World Cup. And every time when we've got one of those events, people say, oh, it's wonderful, just the spirit is fantastic. And a few weeks afterwards, we are back where we were. The recipe is wrong. The true recipe is to stop paying lip service to the whole concept of our diversity. Recognize that reality, and let's deal with that reality, and you'll be surprised what kind of positive attitude you will unleash in South Africa. Then this country can become what it's supposed to be, the locomotive of Africa. At the moment, we are definitely not that. We are lagging behind, and other countries are passing us by. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable the Deputy Minister of Arts and Culture.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if the honorable member is saying that we must not talk about the past because they say we are always talking about the past, so we have to forget our past. National days provide the nation with an opportunity to reflect and remember events, episodes, and people who have played the significant role in shaping the democratic and peaceful character of our country. They are meant to and designed to unite and bring people from different cultural, political, gender, racial, religious, and creedal background together in order to forge common nationhood and build a cohesive society. We are to rebuild our lives and address the challenges that we experienced, both social and economic issues experienced. For example, poverty, jobs, education, health, and many more. We must remember, freedom did not come easily. People lost their lives and suffered by being discriminated and oppressed, and will always go back to that so that even the generation to come must know where we come from. On such days, all parties are invited, everybody. It's the government occasion, so we are all invited. And those who choose not to come, it is on their own. In order for us to achieve the ideals mentioned above, we approach each national day or month with specific objectives. The Human Rights Month or Day inculcates the human rights ethos and culture in our society. We use Freedom Day to celebrate and promote appreciation of freedom and democracy and encourage active participation in the governance of the country. We must always remember that that freedom came in pain. We had a long road to travel. And that is why that we commit ourselves to rebuild the country. With the Youth Day, it is to appreciate the supreme sacrifice paid by the youth of 1976 and to encourage youth of today to envision and build a united and prosperous South Africa. The youth of today are faced with different challenges that they will always say it's cool to take drugs, it's cool of doing that, or the wrong issues that will distract them. But now it is a time that they discourage such tendencies, that they see education as a weapon that will be able to build their lives and to build this country. We use Mandela Day to encourage South Africans to popularize and emulate all the positive values and principles that President Mandela epitomized. With the Women's Day, it gives us an opportunity to celebrate successes and achievements attained by various generations of women, as well as to focus the attention of the nation of the challenges that still confront them. Rine bafumakadzi, re kha ḓi vha ro kandeledzwa. Rine bafumakadzi, re kha ḓi vha na u ṱalutshedzwa. Rine bafumakadzi, re kha ḓi tambula ri tshi ya ri kha ḓi rwiwa, ri kha ḓi itwa zwoṱhe zwi songo fanelaho. Zwino ri fanela u lwa nazwo ngauri a zwathu fhela, nndwa i tshe khulwane. Ri kha ḓi nyadziwa kha vhutshilo hashu. Zwo fanela uri ri lwe hei nndwa, a ri lwi ri roṱhe, ri lwa na vhene vha no khou ri kandeledza, ri lwa na vhene vha no khou ri shengedza, uri kha vha vule maṱo avho, a vha zwi vhoni na uri tshifhinga tsho fhira, a i tshavha hetshiḽa tsha kale. Hezwi ri tshi ri ro vhofholowa, ri amba ro vhofholowa roṱhe, vhafumakadzi, vhasidzana, ri khou zwi vhona vhafumakadzi na vhasidzana, vhananyana vhashu vha khou vhulaiwa. Ri sa ḓivhi zori mulandu ndi mini, hu khou itea mini, heḽi ḽimuya kha ḽi fhele, kha ḽi bve. Ri ḓo lwa na vheiwe vha vhanna, ni ri thuse u lwa hei nndwa ya vhana vhashu vha no khou sokou vhulaiwa. Heritage Month and Heritage Day, they provide a platform to promote and popularize our heritage in its multifaceted forms, and thus showcasing and celebrating our diversity, as well as our common cultural heritage. Just now, last week, we were celebrating our National Book Week, and we emphasized on reading books, but not only on reading books, but on indigenous languages, that they seem not to be a priority. And even the books that we're distributing, they were written also in the indigenous languages, and we would provide books according to the province, the languages that are spoken there. So it is for us that we emphasize that indigenous languages are important. Mandela once said, I quote, "When you speak to a person in the language that person understands, it goes to the head. But when you speak to the person with his or her own language, it goes to the heart." So that is why, close quote, that is why we emphasize the indigenous languages. The month of reconciliation allows us an opportunity to encourage the spirit of reconciliation across families, race, color, gender, ethnic, creedal, and class spectrum. So it is thus very much important that we, all of us, build this country. And on those days, we should share it, we should enjoy it, we should be able to lead the nation to say, this is where we are going to. When we are invited, when everybody is invited, we need to all come and voice and say and give hope to our people. Ari kubangani ribe chithu chitihi, heli shango ringa se lipata rote ripata rina chichava chote ndi aliwo. Zifana uitea, why is not happening? You are not doing it.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Okota.
Thank you, Chairperson. The first point I would like to make to the House is that national days are for all the people of South Africa, that the budget that is used for them is the budget of the people of South Africa. To that extent, and I want to say, perhaps I want to focus my attention for starters on the opposition parties. We must insist on our right to participate in the preparations for every national day. Because the money that is budgeted for that is the money of the nation. Therefore, no, we must not just sit back and complain about the ruling party. We must go and say we are entitled to have representation in knowing what is the budget of the day of national reconciliation. We want to know what is proposed must happen, and we have suggestions to make, and we must insist on the right to do that. I do not think that the ruling party can resist that. There's nowhere in the law that says they exclusively must decide that. So we must not sit back and complain. We must stand up and take responsibility. I know we must take responsibility. I don't think that you know, why do you want to make it your property? It's legislated for, it's in the Constitution, it's there in the law. So we don't ask for a favor for that. The second point I would like to make, excuse me please. The second point I would like to make, which is the most important point, all the politics I have ever learned that matter to me, I learned in the African National Congress. Umkhonto wesizwe was the army set up to wage the struggle on behalf of the people of South Africa, black and white. Now today, it is no longer there, because when we reached agreement, President Mandela, or the ANC through President Mandela, insisted that all the liberation formations together with the old South African Defence Force, merged together, so that what was the South African Defence Force became the South African National Defence Force. This is not the army defending, the military, the defense force defending this country is of all those who are available and willing to serve in defense of their country. That is not the South African Defence Force of old.
Honourable Member, your time is expired.
Therefore, I'm sorry, Chair, but I do want to say that
Honourable Member.
it's wrong to use the name of MK to threaten the citizens of this country.
Order, honourable members. Order. The next speaker is the Honourable Jafta.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the idea of the nation building and social cohesion speaks to the glue that brings a society together, especially of the national cultural diversity like ours in South Africa. After 1994 first democratic national elections, the national holidays were changed to days that would be meaningful to all South Africans in pursuit of the nation building and social cohesion. Honorable Chair, it is the manner in which we celebrate these days that will unite or further divide the people of South Africa with different background and cultures. Instead of building the nation when celebrating these national days, our political parties and leaders take an advantage of mobilizing people and promote themselves and their policies. In doing that, sometimes much criticism is made towards either parties or leaders. Can we say that that is working towards nation building? No, it is not. The truth is that we need to do more than speeches addressing rallies, but encourage our communities to respect each other and to live together as a rebel nation. It is not the way we lift up different political parties' flags, how beautiful our party t-shirts are, or how good do we sing our freedom songs that will unite South Africans, but to stick on the purpose of the national days as envisaged after 1994. Celebrating the Women's Day on the 9th of August should be the same as celebrating the Reconciliation Day on the 16th December. Every citizen of South Africa must contribute towards shaping a new South Africa through meaningful celebration of the national days. Honorable Chair, our commitment towards uniting the people of South Africa will also be measured against the behavior and the tolerance we show to each other in this House. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Lotriet.
Honourable House Chair, the National Development Plan views nation building and social cohesion as strategic elements to make South Africa a successful country. It is also clear from the NDP that achieving social cohesion and national unity is an all-encompassing process where all sections of the citizenry and all spheres of government have a role to play. It is also important to understand that social cohesion and national unity can only be achieved in a context of social inclusion. Social cohesion means that citizens must feel that they belong, that they have the opportunity to prosper, that they are respected, especially by the government. They should not feel that they are left behind or forgotten. But, Honourable Chair, can it in all honesty be proclaimed after 20 years of democracy that every citizen in this country experiences a sense of belonging, a sense that an individual has of, this is my country, I am welcome here regardless of my race, my religion, my language, my cultural heritage, my political affiliation. It is easy to say we are all South Africans, but it rings hollow when your commitment to the country, your patriotism, is judged on the basis of your party affiliation. It's then that there can be no claim of social cohesion. If there is no sense of belonging created by how we accommodate anyone, we are not working towards belonging, but towards isolation and marginalization. The NDP states that dealing with unemployment, poverty, and inequality is critical to building social cohesion. Therefore, if your daily existence consists of a struggle trying to survive, where you are overwhelmed by poverty, unemployment, where even the most basic services such as water provision is not provided by the government, your sense of social cohesion and being part of a national identity are the last things on your mind. And national days to foster social cohesion are then nothing more than a superficial effort to plaster over gaping cracks. And we are not creating national unity. Now, as many speakers have said, many of these national days are in any event nothing more than ANC rallies paid for by the taxpayer. And Honourable Deputy Minister, you are quite right that speakers are invited to participate in these events. But the reality is that the speakers of opposition parties are often rudely shouted down and not given a chance to convey their messages. And even worse, the leaders of the governing party do nothing to protect the opposition party speakers. But the most worrying of all is what happened this year on the 21st of March, when buses with DA supporters on their way to commemorate Human Rights Day, on their way to Sharpeville, they were stoned by ANC supporters. Honourable Tom, is that the kind of tolerance that the ruling party is advocating and promoting? Is that social cohesion? I think not. There is no place in social cohesion and nation building for the political intolerance we are increasingly witnessing. Social cohesion requires inclusion. But the question is, do these celebrations of national days include all of the citizens and their respective cultures or beliefs? Or is it selective on the basis of what is acceptable to the governing party? If we are selective about what is considered to be acceptable, proper, and politically correct, we will have an artificially constructed social cohesion and national unity. For example, a history that only recognizes the contribution of the ANC in the struggle for liberation and negates everyone else's contribution. A made-to-fit for a specific purpose history, but without the real soul of all the people who have traversed many and various roads to reach the destiny of our liberation. Social cohesion and nation building require recognition as opposed to rejection. Recognition refers to respecting and tolerating differences in a country where we have a variety of cultures, languages, orientations, and political affiliations. It requires government prepared to listen when the citizenry speak out when things are wrong, and not to brand them as counter-revolutionaries or CIA agents. Chairperson, we are sadly mistaken and misdirected if we believe that a few National Day events will of itself create social cohesion and nation building. There are still too many instances of exclusion, marginalization, disregard, and neglect. House Chair, the government must fix the basics, stop corruption, lead by example, and follow the rules that apply to everyone. Only then will we have real social cohesion and national unity that we can celebrate at national days. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Mshlangu.
Sihlalo namalunga ahloniphekileko. Namhlanje sikhuluma ngendaba eqhakatheke kakhulu, indaba yokubungazwa kwamalanga wenarha. NjengamaSouth Africa sisonke siyazi ukuthi sivela kuphi. And kungakho ke kubalekile ukuthi amalanga esiwabeke abaphezulu siwahloniphe besiwazise. Earlier on, the Deputy Minister did indicate that we celebrate on the 18th of July, Mandela Day. This is a day upon which the United Nations and the community of the world celebrate this icon, Nelson Mandela. What should we say about Nelson Mandela? Should we say Nelson Mandela was not a member of the ANC? So, we are celebrating a member of the ANC, the President of South Africa, the President of the ANC, and indeed a South African. We have a reason to celebrate him. Celebrations occur on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the ANC. The United Nations Secretary General makes an announcement. He says, and I quote, "The ANC is more than a political party. It is a movement, an expression of a vision of the commitment and sacrifice of its members that led to the emancipation of the nation from a racist colonial rule." Indeed, the whole world was celebrating the ANC. We have a reason to celebrate the ANC. But let me then come to the issues that opposition parties have raised. They are saying national days are celebrated as an ANC days or ANC rallies. It takes a skill to listen, okay? We celebrate the national days. And I want to pull a nice example. Last year, we celebrated the Women's Day in my province, Mpumalanga, Bushbuck Ridge. We had IFP members in attendance, IFP leaders, and not members of the IFP. And they had an opportunity to speak, and they did speak. And the president of the IFP was applauded by who? People who had attended the event and who happened to be members of the ANC in the majority. And I come from Mpumalanga, and all of you are aware that there is a road called Muloto. Every time there's an accident in Muloto, several people die. 80 to 90% of those people, when we bury them, they happen to be members of the ANC and supporters of the ANC. What does it mean? If you take a size of 100% and you say how many people of the 100 would be ANC supporters, there would be between 70 and 80 or 90. So,
Honourable members.
Some of those that are shouting on my left here have never set their foot on a single national celebration. And they've got the audacity to come here and shout. We celebrate human rights because the world over has accepted that South Africa has got the best constitution in the world. And all of us have got a reason to celebrate because our constitution confers the rule of law upon all of ourselves. And we have a reason to celebrate. We have a reason to celebrate Freedom Day because 20 years ago, the peoples of this country, led by the ANC, went to the polls for the first time to vote for a majority government. We have a reason to celebrate. Surely you may not be happy about that situation. But I have a word for the IFP. We heard that they were saying, where after 20 years, the ANC has done, they've been giving people food parcels and what have you, there's no development. The IFP was in charge of KwaZulu for years. Some of those people are still without water up to today. Did they have water in 1994? No. But indeed, as a country, we continue to move forward and we have a reason to celebrate. We have a reason to celebrate the Workers' Day, not the red overalls in this house. The reason why we need to celebrate the Workers' Day is because workers and the vanguard of the movement, as well as the labor, and the trade unions, are paying solidarity to workers. Not the the workers that we see here would actually never worked. We have a reason to celebrate Heritage Day because this is the day on which the whole community of South Africa is mobilized and the identity behind one cause. And we do have a rainbow nation, and we have a freedom of speech, and we have a reason to celebrate.
Yes, honorable member.
Bengicela ukubuta sihlalo ukuthi angawuthatha lo mbuto.
I can take any questions, just that I don't have enough time. The setback of our national days is non-attendance.
Order, honorable members. Continue, honorable member.
The setback of the national days is non-attendance of opposition parties and their supporters. If you attend, you find an opportunity, and you can speak and address the nation. I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, honorable member. Order, honorable members. I now recognize the Honorable Schlengwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I think the Honorable Member is a bit confused, you know. He says we don't attend, but he was telling us that we did attend. The problem is that ANC members are unruly and misbehave. And they heckle and boo everybody else who's not IFP, who's not ANC at these functions. So you've monopolized, you know, these functions for your own gain and for your own good. So, I mean, and of course, the other issue, Honorable Member, when you speak about the KwaZulu-Natal government, you must remember that President Zuma was an MEC of Economic Development in that province, and he did such a dismal job. You migrated him to the national government, and he's done worse. The point I want to emphasize is that the ANC must learn basic politics 101. There is a difference between the state and the party in government. It's a fundamental difference. Let it sink in, let it subside, absorb it, understand it, internalize it, and then live it through so that you do not reverse our gains of monopolizing these national days, because they don't belong to you. They belong to all South Africans. But we have to put up with being bullied by the ANC at every turn when we attend these functions. I want to thank the honorable members of all the political parties who were sane enough to understand the issue that we were raising. To those that didn't, we can meet them outside and take them through, again, what we are trying to say. We understand some are slow on the uptake. We have taken 5 steps forward and 10 steps backwards at every of these celebrations. I want to say that we must revisit this issue of these military wings who are masquerading as if they are a demi-government on the side, a parallel structure of government, pulling everybody. Because they are a threat to the nation building of our country and social cohesion. When we've got people who think we've got a monopoly, then they come and say, we're going to sort you out. The nerve and cheek and audacity to say that a head of a Chapter 9 institution is a spy undermines this very parliament. But members stand up and say, no, let's defend him, let's defend him. It's this type of failure to differentiate between the state and the party. My parting shot is, we have a collective national responsibility to debate how we celebrate and commemorate these national days. It is high time that national days become about South Africa, because at every other effort at nation building collapses if we don't do that. We must rely on this glue to keep us together. We must rise above the petty political divides of propaganda, and it must begin with the ANC understanding that they are not the government. They've just been wrongly now, entrusted with that responsibility to govern, and we must put up with that. So on that note, don't abuse that.
Honorable member, your time is expired.
Don't abuse the responsibility that you have been given, because you reverse our
Honorable
gains.
member, your time is expired. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, that concludes the debate and the business for the day. The House is adjourned.